Hey there, YouTube family. Dr. K back with another video. Welcome to my channel, Winning in Your Education Career. And on this channel, we talk about winning and whatever winning in that education career means for you. So it could mean you're new to teaching and you just want to get your feet wet in that teaching game, or you're already a teacher and you're thinking about moving into that next career level, whether it is a teacher coach or a principal. Or winning could mean I am done with teaching and I need something new. Whatever winning means for you, welcome to the channel and thanks for joining me. Please remember to like and subscribe and share my videos with anybody else you think may want to win in this education game. Okay, enough of that. So today we are talking about 10 questions that you need to consider before becoming a school principal. So I'm trying to keep this video short. I know I want to do 10 questions. I could probably do 100 questions. So briefly, a little about me. I am a former teacher. I am a former teacher leader. I've done the new teaching coaching. I've done the reading specialist coach job. And I've also done that school leadership, school principal job. So I've worked as a school principal in the United States and out of the country. So I have a lot of information to share. I am not going to let this video get too long-winded. I hope I can keep it to 10. But if not, I may have to make a part 2. Okay, so I'm going to say this starting with a disclaimer. Not everybody wants to be a school principal. I get it. And not everybody should be a school principal. So, as you are listening to this video, hopefully you're taking notes, and I have my notes here because if I don't, I'll forget something. I want you to really be thinking about the questions I'm asking you and being honest in your assessment. Is this right for you? Are you ready to move in that school principal job? Let's see. All right, so first question is, do you like working with adults and teachers in particular? So I want you to keep a principal in your mind. If you're currently a classroom teacher, think about your school principal and everything that he or she has to do and who he or she has to interact with. Can that be you? Do you like interacting with all of the teachers in your buildings, not just the Pollyanna teachers who are always upbeat and on? What about those negative Nancys and Debbie Downers? Principals, we have to work with them all. So, are you ready to be that principal who works with all sorts of teachers in the building and can honestly and ethically work with everybody? Yes or no? I know this seems like an easy question, but it's really not. Think about some of those principals that you may have encountered that didn't quite have the people skills to work with everyone. Some teachers like to categorize them as they work with their favorites and the rest of us, we don't get anything. That's not going to be the type of principal that you're going to be. You're going to be the principal if you decide to go down this road that can work with everyone. So if that's you, give it a check, yes. All right, question number 2. This is also a no-brainer, but I have to say it. I have to say this to all of my aspiring principals that I work with. Were you a good teacher in the classroom? You now are going for the highest job in the school principal. And the school principal is a teacher of teachers. So were you a good teacher? And what does good mean, right? Were you someone that could take a group of students and move them from one academic area into another highly academic area when we're talking about data? Your students were not stagnant in their data, they were progressing. You were open, you were up to trying new things, you were flexible. Would you look back on your teaching career and say, yeah, I was a good teacher, or yeah, my principals thought I was a good teacher? If you're saying yes, give yourself a thumbs up, and this may be for you. If you are thinking, I'm not sure if I would categorize myself as a good or great teacher, I don't know. Maybe put a question mark next to that one, because this is a huge issue. Principals are instructional leaders of the building. They have to be great teachers. Okay, number 3. This is one of my pet peeves as a former principal, but it is part of the job. Are you comfortable with everyone in the building bringing all of their problems to you? And not just work problems. As a principal, your teachers are going to want to talk to you about what's happening with their students, as well as what's happening in their private lives. So are you comfortable being that person that everybody dumps their problems on? And then, if it's work-related, you are expected to solve problems. I know I work with a lot of young principals, and they always want to talk about, well, I'm just going to delegate that out. There is something said about delegation. But as the principal, you've got to do things on your own. You are the problem solver in the building. So, does that sound like something you want to do all day, every day? From the moment you step in the building, the problems will be waiting for you, and you will be taking some of those problems home with you at night. Do you think like that's something you want to do? Not something you could do, but do you even want to do that? Check yes or no for that one. Okay, question number 4. Do you like working with different types of teachers? And I want to categorize this by saying the good, the bad, and the unqualified. Unfortunately, as a principal, you do not get to pick your teachers. Unless you are a founding principal and they're building a school for you and you're bringing all of the staff on board because you're starting as the first principal of that building, yay you. But most of us principals, we get assigned to a building and you get the teachers who are there. So you'll get some good teachers, you'll get some not so good teachers, and you will get some wholly unqualified teachers. But as the principal, as the instructional leader of the building, you are still expected to work with those teachers. So how does that sound for you? Does that sound like something you can do? Think about the teacher that you know in your building right now who you say to yourself, and hopefully you only say this in your head, she should have never become a teacher, or he should not be a teacher. This is the wrong profession for him. Now think about the principal who has to work with that particular teacher. That could be you. Remember, you don't get to pick your teachers. So if you feel like you can work with all of these teachers, the good, the bad, and the unqualified, thumbs up. Okay, number 5 is all about the parents. Okay, do you think you would be comfortable interacting with the parents when you're discussing difficult subjects? So, principals, yes, we see parents when the parents come in for report card conferences, and we get to see those wonderful parents who those students are doing well. Most of those parents don't really care to see the principal because there's no reason, right? We as principals, we see the parents when there is a problem. My child is failing, my child is not doing right, my child is misbehaving, my child can't stand a teacher, my teacher hates the child. This is when we get to see those parents. So are you going to be comfortable? This goes back to you solving problems, dealing with those parents all the time when there is an issue with their child. So academically, behaviorally, they always want to have a discussion with the principal. Are you going to be comfortable with that? And do you want to do it? There is one thing to say, yes, I'm comfortable with that. I de-escalate in my classroom all the time. I'm really good working with my parents now. It's all good. But do you want to do it? Not just for your classroom. You have 30 kids in your classroom. As a principal, you could have 600 kids that you're responsible for. So do you want that type of responsibility? This is not something you can delegate. So if you feel like, yeah, I think I can do it, thumbs up. If not, maybe that's another question mark for you. Seems like we're getting a few question marks. Okay, number 6. Are you a good communicator and comfortable doing presentations for large groups? So this goes back to also, I talked about in my teacher leadership video, Principals, we present all the time. So we're doing staff meetings and we're doing PD sessions, and we may have to present to the school board or to the PTA. Are you comfortable being a presenter, a good communicator, personable, engaging? Do you feel like you like that? So it's not something just to think about, yeah, I'm good at it, but do you like it? And will you like doing it all the time? So that's pretty yes or no. I think you probably will get a yes on that one if you're still listening to this video. So great for you. Number 7 is a real sticky one. Would you be comfortable firing a terrible or difficult teacher? Now, principals always want to, particularly new principals, they never want to think about the bad time when you have to fire a teacher. They always want to think about the warm and fuzzy. It's going to be great. Everyone's going to love me. It's going to be wonderful. There will be times of those teachers that you encounter. Remember, the good, the bad, the unqualified. You will have that unqualified teacher, and now you've got to do something about that unqualified teacher. Why? Because your job is to make sure the students in your building are progressing academically. And if you know that your teacher that you have in grade 3 is unqualified and damaging those students, then he or she has got to go. So are you going to be comfortable, one, engaging in difficult conversations, because you've got to have conversations with that teacher first, right? You got to put them on a plan and talk to them about how they can improve, and you're trying to help them, and you've got to help them first. But ultimately, are you going to be comfortable making the decision that this teacher can no longer work in my building? This is hard. I say this to my new principal candidates all the time. I am such a positive person. I like to be Miss Pollyanna, but my role is students first. And if I know in my heart that this teacher is damaging my babies, no matter how uncomfortable I may be, they've got to go. So if you feel like right now, oh, I don't think I could sit down with this teacher who may be crying, they may need this job financially, you could be affecting their entire family system by firing them from this job, but it still has to be done. If you feel like I could not do that, stop right now. Because I guarantee you, in the course of your job, you will have to fire a teacher, and it's going to be uncomfortable. So think about that one. Number 8. Are you comfortable being the lone wolf? And what do I mean by that? There's only one principal in the building. You are it. So there is nobody, when you were a classroom teacher, you can go next door to your classroom teacher or to the teacher's lounge and commiserate and vent and bond and share. As the principal in the building, you're the only one. You're the lone wolf. There is no one in your building that you should ethically be venting to. Now, of course, you have your principal friends in other buildings and other schools, and you can always reach out to them when you need to vent, when you need someone's ear, but they are not on site with you. They are not there the moment that you just got cursed out by the parent and you need someone. You may need a hug. I've needed many hugs. You just got told off by the little kindergartner who cursed you out, and you're like, oh my gosh, I need a hug. No one's there. So you cannot, and this is something to keep in mind because this goes into what it means to be an ethical leader. You cannot vent to your staff, to your teachers, to your secretary, to anyone. You have got to be strong enough to keep that information in and vent to your principal friends outside the building or your spouse, who sometimes has to sit through that stuff. So if you're not comfortable being by yourself, being the lone wolf, this is hard. It sounds like it's not a big deal, but it's hard when you are faced with a tough decision and you're looking to the right and you're looking to the left and you just need a little, and there's no one there but you. That's what the principal job means. It is you running the building by yourself. Okay, the last question, the one I'm going to wrap it up with. This is the same question I ended my video on, do you want to be a teacher leader? think about these things before you want to be a teacher leader. Are you prepared for the jealousy that goes along with people thinking that, you think you're better because you're the principal? People will be jealous of you in your role. The principal's job is a coveted role. Now, as a teacher, I remember as a new teacher looking at my principal and being in awe of her because she was always everywhere doing everything. And I was thinking back there when I first started, how could she do all of that? I could never. I was in awe. And it was a coveted type of role that I thought, I'm never going to be a principal. That's too much work for me. But as I started moving in my career, it became more of a reality. And then you get into the role and you realize that there are people, your teachers are looking at you and critiquing every little thing that you do. Every memo that you send them, my gosh, don't have a typo, it's the end of the world. Every time you present in a staff meeting, you may have stumbled over a word, you're talking too fast, you're talking too slow. You're not engaging in anything. They're always critiquing you. So are you going to be comfortable with people looking at you with those jealous eyes, wanting your job, trying to size you up and see if you really are, do you really deserve that job? That is real. And again, this goes back to you being a lone wolf. There is no one for you to vent to. So think about that. Now, I got over that pretty quickly. I felt like I had worked my way up through the system enough and I had felt comfortable enough to say I deserve the job. But if you're suffering from, let's say, this imposter syndrome, and then you get into your first principal job and you have teachers who may have wanted that job and now they are looking at you with those jealous eyes and you can feel it, this could be a drag every single day. So do you think you could handle that? And do you want to handle it? That's something to consider. Okay, guys, I'm done. I'm trying to wrap up this video. I just gave you 10 questions. As I said in the beginning, I can give you 100. I want anyone thinking about diving into that principal role to be sure before they do it. So I have a little book for you that I want you to get. Again, this was just 10 questions. In my reflection journal, I have 20 questions and really bullet points, so it's about maybe 30 questions to really think about, should I dive into the principal job? It will help you determine what you want to do. You're a classroom teacher now, or maybe you're a teacher leader, and you're trying to figure out, what's my next avenue that I can take to win in this education game? And is it the principal's job? Is it the AP's job? What is it? Go ahead and work through that book and be honest in your assessments of yourself. No one's looking over your shoulder. You don't have to share it with anyone, but you want to be sure before you go down that road, go back to school, spend some more money, and then take that principal job and then be miserable, right? I want you to be happy and I want you to win. Okay, that's it for now. Don't forget to like this video, share it with anybody you think about who is on the fence of should they go into that principal's job before they do it. Tell them to go and look at Dr. K's video and take their time going through that book once they get it. All right, guys, I will see you next time in my next video. Take care.